Greetings, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Garris, and welcome to the Transporter Room. Tonight, I'm thrilled to be joined by Larry Nemecek. Larry is here to beam us up with all the insider details on Portal 47, his exclusive Star Trek deep dive fan experience. We'll be covering what Portal 47 is, why it's been going strong for a decade, and what the future holds for this incredible community. So let me bring in Larry. Hey, Larry.
Chris, this is awesome. You have come so far.
Well, thank you. It's been
Off my radar, and I was like, wow, look at this.
It has been a wild journey, to say the least.
Yeah.
I would have never expected to be doing this already. So it's been fun. I'm not going to lie. It's been fun, and it's been a lot of work. And I'm just glad to be able to have you on here tonight.
Well, thank you. I just realized when you said this, we have all the normal things we're doing, routinely, and then special events come along, and my head has been into the first time in 10 years, the big multi-day location tour with Geek Nation Tours next year for the 60th. Mm-hmm. And you said, well, what about talking about Portal in the 10th? And I was like, oh, I never, when we get into our things, sometimes we forget to talk about our stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, my open house. We promote it, but talk about it live. It's like, oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. Because, as I told you when I was just, learning about all of your brands, Portal, the Tuesday Lives, what else is there? Oh, Trek Files. I had no, and Portal 47, I was like, what are all these areas that you do? And now I know. Took me a little bit to understand it, but
and you missed in the pandemic era, the glasses back there. You missed Life Support Live with Dr. Ali during the pandemic. We had
I wasn't even doing this stuff. I still had to work during the pandemic, so but yeah, so I didn't even know about all these Trek fandoms, these groups, and like Patreons and all that stuff until last year.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was fun. You crossed my radar. You joined my little Patreon for my streaming world, and then you joined Portal 47.
Correct.
And I just watched, and then you went to like every convention in the country.
We don't want to talk about that.
You just kind of exploded, and then when I found out you were launching a podcast and a YouTube channel, I was like, wow, look at you go. So yeah, you went from 0 to 60.
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to lie. And I still have, and I'm going to Trek to Chicago in 2 weeks.
Well, yes. See,
be the last one for the year.
I'm just sorry to miss Linda today. So I was looking forward to
unfortunately, she wasn't going to make it. It was a last minute thing. I was hoping she could be here, but she texted me and she's like, I just can't make it. She's in college. So I think she just finished midterms last week. So, yeah, I remember doing midterms. That was a lot of work. Well,
yeah.
When I studied, let's just be honest, if I actually studied for them.
Oh, well,
but,
yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, I just, like we were talking, I guess it was 2 Mondays ago on our Trek File Mondays about you were bringing this up. And then on our roundtable, I gotta get all the wording correctly, which is just the Portal 47 roundtable about this upcoming event, and that's what made me think. Like you said, I was like, wait a second, why don't we do something about this?
Well, I appreciate. Like I said, I'm like, duh. To go, I'll maybe do a little Instagram live, moment reels, shorty things, but I know this is great because we get into our stuff. Mm-hmm. And whether people are doing a podcast or a YouTube channel, or whether they're doing, this goes back to the roots of Trek fandom and what broke the mold. Mm-hmm. It was fan fiction, true. It was everybody was so inspired. Overwhelmingly, women were so inspired by Star Trek that they wrote, the Spock and the Vulcan, all the fan fiction of everything, or just generic, or slash. Star Trek invented slash. But all of that energy was about writing and people, and some of it was really good and some of it was not good. But it was like podcasts and YouTube channels. Everybody putting their passion out in what was the media available,
Yeah. well, at that time, I
Yeah.
mean, and I was gonna say, I mean, it's kind of obviously I know we're going to have tangents like crazy, but like
And
today,
cosines and sines.
I
Yeah.
know I saw a Shatner. Remember, Shatner's got his upcoming auction, and I looked at the auction list, and he's got tons of Star Trek magazines and all the up for sale or up for auction, and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat, honestly.
Are you talking about commercial magazines or like fanzines
Yes,
and things?
no, like
See, yeah, see that everybody, any actor who has a deal, and Shatner would have the dealiest deal of them all. Like a few years ago, when Jonathan Frakes cleaned out his, all of the actors in their contracts, they're entitled. They get sent a sample
yeah,
of anything like an action figure or magazines
yeah,
or you name it, a
oh,
3D puzzle, anything. And they get it and they just, some of them give us stuff away to their family or kids,
correct.
or they just throw it in their garage and then eventually they clean it out. And my God, Shatner's got to have storage barns full of
Well, yeah,
magazines.
because what caught my attention, because it's actually part of Westmore's collection. He put a lot of stuff in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Zappone shared it this morning, and I saw that, and so I started looking, and I was like, "Ooh, what things might I what do I want?" But like they had the one of the Star Trek for Harry Kim, every Voyager character. Anyway, we'll get into that later. But I just saw that, and I was like, "Oh!" But there was one. What was I think even you was one of the ones you were part of. But long story short, there were there's a ton of items out there, so it made me think about all that. But like what you have and how you're using Portal 47 to honestly collect all of that wonderful information and give it to us, the fans, or let us have it
Well,
or have access to it.
oh, I didn't bring it over here. Well, I've got pictures on my site. I mean, look, all this. I was a fan. I was a background fan. I mean, all this stuff you realize as it goes along. You realize about yourself. You don't. Nobody plans to fall into a passion pit and love something. You don't know,
Yeah.
and then it happens, and then you're busy enjoying it. And are you 35 or 25 or 15 when that happens?
Yeah.
Where are you in life? And how much time do you, if you're a kid and you can blow all your money and your time on the thing, or if you're in college, or if you've got kids and you have a life and you have to earn a paycheck, and whatever you are, when you first come to the thing that grabs you like that, and it's all these years later, younger, we would laugh or get a little frustrated and not draw and not connect these dots. But sports fandom and sci-fi genre Trek fandom are the same thing. And it used to drive us crazy because I grew up in Oklahoma, and so the Sooners were, and I was a sports fan. I was not a sci-fi sports ball hater. I never said the term sports ball until now. I make fun of the people who say that, making fun of the people who don't. Anyway, and I went back and forth, and finally at one point it was like, whether you paint your face blue to be an Andorian or you paint your belly blue to sit in the end zone naked, half naked at 2 degrees below zero, you're passionate about the thing you love. And a lot of people can actually do both of those.
Correct.
So anyway, it's all this, it's just where you are in life, what brought you there. And in my case, it's funny because the first convention I went to and stayed overnight in college, in my head, when I got there, I mean, back then I had it was the box that my stereo amp or my stereo turntable came in. I was in college. And I put my tech manual, my medical reference, and all my giant poster books, and I put the making of Star Trek. I mean, the only things there were at the time.
Yeah.
And I put it in a box because I thought I'd get there and we would all sit around and everybody would just talk about Star Trek background. I mean, I thought that's what happened at a convention. And I went, they have a movie room. Okay. I mean, I hadn't even read yet. Like, you didn't even read what happened, and there was nobody older to tell you yet because they were all kind of so new. But I was like, we don't all people have other interests. And then you'd read the letters in magazines eventually and Interstat, and you go, and then you find out that I'm kind of in a minority. Like, Interstat's elevated at the time. Wow, the Starlog letter column was there, and people that was a lifeline for people. The professional Starlog magazine, but Interstat was a letter of comment zine, an elope zine, and it was like the highest levels. Not to be snooty, but it was people who wanted to dig down deep and write letters, and they would like write to each other. And every month it came at Terry Meyer hand typed everybody's letters into a little half-size zine. And then she had 2 or 3 columns. But you would like talk to people back and forth like once a month. And some people were always in there talking back. And I was like, how do you have time to write? Like, it took me forever to write a letter every 2 or 3 months. But I realized that out of the 30 or 40 people, 90% of them are arguing about Spock and Kirk and Spock and Sarek and Amanda and Vulcans and zine writing and editing and, you know, and there's like 5 of us that are back over here talking about background. And I went, okay, well, I'm a minority.
Yeah. Well, and well, yes, I think that is kind of a minority.
That was canon. That wasn't even like behind the scenes preserving. You know, the first thing I did was I get the medical reference, or I get the tech manual. I go, what's all these missing pages? And I'm like making my own pages to fill the gaps. And then I get the Making of Star Trek, which doesn't have an index, and I pull things out just to be able to. It drove me crazy because you'd want to see the phasers paragraph, and you'd have to go back through and flip and memorize where it was. And I made my own. I typed a thing that had like everything. It was basically a tech manual, but it was like in a row taken from that. Anyway, everything, and then I did that, and then I got off on like, look at all these real stars and fake stars. The real star, I wonder how the fake stars relate to the real stars in the story. And I started star charting.
Oh, I don't think I realized about the star charting.
That was the first things that grabbed me were taking notes on shows.
Okay.
We didn't have VHS tapes even. I know, I'm ancient. But it was like, keep your hand notes, and then that's why it's so fun to me to watch like Jorg. His Twitter. I'm like, oh, well, if I'd had Twitter when I was a kid, this is what I'd be doing the same thing.
Well, exactly. And we had a guest that we were talking to last night. We were interviewing, not saying any names, but he made a comment about how what we were doing last night and what we are doing tonight is creating a record. It's actually creating a record of Trek knowledge. And I didn't think about that until he said that, but I was like, he's right. We're making a record. And so this will be, well, as long as the servers are around, it should be around forever, potentially, or for a very, very long time. So if you think about all the stuff that I'm doing and then what you've been doing for the last 10 years, or 10 years now.
In this format,
in this format, that's what makes doing, you know, with Portal, I feel like is such it's a good thing. You're giving us this content that we will eventually be able to, you know, like I know you put it all up on, oh my God, the wiki.
Memory Alpha.
Memory Alpha. I'm like, why can't I remember Memory Alpha? But, you know, you'll put Memory Alpha, all this stuff up there. And so let's go ahead and, because we could talk, well, I know we'll go there, but how did you come up with Portal 47? What was what was that made you do this?
What's that thing about invention is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration, or whatever? Well, this is a case where it was 99%, or it was 70% desperation.
Okay.
Because so here I'm a fan, and I have a theater background and I have a journalism background. And I'm in the Midwest, and I enjoy my hobbies, as we used to say before we were all nerds and geeks. And I had a lot of hobbies, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with life. And it was hard enough for me to finally settle down into doing something that would be a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
And Star Trek fandom was part of that. And then I had these things. My passion was, we have to, background and gap fill and canon smooth and all these things that we didn't have names for then. Some of the stuff I made up as I went along. But I got the chance when the medical reference came out. I looked and I had done star charting, and I saw that they had used real star. They were giving home stars to all the major species, and the Klingons was whatever it was way too close. It was like closer than the Andorians. And like, well, this makes no sense. And so I wrote them to the editor listed. Well, the editor listed was, now I know, was Doug Drexler and Jeff Mandel's the New York Trek Mafia.
Oh, what?
AKA
Really?
the Federation Trading Post. Well, they got the contracts early for the giant poster book, and they did the fan-published medical reference that then Ballantine, they sold the tech manual, and they wanted something to take the place next Christmas, and they got B. Joe's Concordance, which was fan-published, and they made a pro version of that. And now they needed something for the next Christmas, and they saw what they had done with this medical reference manual, which was medical, but also all kinds of history and timeline and really well done. The early original backgrounders that I didn't know, but the guys were doing, the guys there and gals in New York were doing. But I could see, so I had some issues with some things, and I wrote the editor, who was just somebody they had hired to help edit it. And 6 months later, I get this letter back from Jeff Mandel, and he says, well, hi, Larry. He says, I'm not who you wrote to, but they kept passing your letter around until it got to me. And I guess I'm the one. Yes, he says, I came up with all those star names. I had no idea anybody would, famous last words, right? I had no idea anybody would, I just thought they sounded cool. I had no idea anybody would ever, is mine, I'm sitting there going, mine should be right here. I had no idea anybody actually like look at the stars and see if they made sense or not. He goes, but yes, and Heinz says, but believe me, I've heard from hundreds of them, and yours was the nicest letter.
Oh.
So, see, some things are eternal, right? In fandom.
Yes.
So anyway, I had mentioned that I had worked on these charts based on. Now I'll get in the weeds. Anyway, we started writing after that, but I was like learning. Oh, but it was very early. And this stuff was, and there was no Star Trek happening. There was no office at Paramount. Well, there was Gene. They were trying to write, the British guys were trying to write a movie after they turned Gene down.
Oh, okay.
And it was all the dance of how will we bring Star Trek back if we do. And then about this, and then Star Wars happened. And then, and so we know all that history. So, but for a fan who was a fan of background and feeling like we were just getting the crumbs, even though the tech manual was the #1 bestseller on the New York Times list, and was one of the reasons why somebody said, well, maybe there's some money in this Star Trek thing after all. Anyway, that's where I go back to. And we were canon smoothing and gap filling back then. And it just, that's just I just enjoyed that. But I never thought about it being like a job. You had to go and get a paycheck, right? And things go along, and then I'm working in news, and here comes Next Generation back. Yeah. And I wanted to do my version of B. Joe's Concordance, which I did, and I sold it as a zine. But it's when laser printers and desktop publishing and Macs all came out, and I had a database, which I still have, and in FileMaker. And
oh my God.
And that's what got me to doing that, to the writers using my books through Richard Arnold, and then selling then the companion came out of that. Instead of being an encyclopedia, it was a making of book. But I was a canon guy, and behind the scenes, I loved making of. But that became a thing because they were going to let the Akutas do that. And I was like, well, but we want you to do this. Can you do a behind the scenes book? And I'm thinking of the making of Stephen Poe's book. And I'm like, sure, I can do that. That's great. Can you do it in 3 months?
Oh, I remember you telling me that story.
Yeah. Anyway, so all of this that led to getting to edit Communicator and doing some books and working on the fact files in the UK, where they pay way better than the Americas do. And it went for 6 years. We had our house because of it. But for the first time, it was like, oh, look, here's ways you can make money. But it comes and goes. And
actually make money.
Wow. I mean, you're not going to get rich, but you can, for all the stuff that you were doing for free for the good of the franchise, you can get some return on. Correct. And then everything blew up in 2005. Berman era stopped.
Oh yeah.
And the company that had the fan club and the magazine imploded because of anyway. And basically everything was at an end. And I'm like, oh, what do I do now? Do I go sell shoes? And for years I was trying, like, and Star Trek was in the fallow years, as we say. Yes. And I'm like, do I give up on all this, or do I find a way? And I kept interviewing everybody after the book came out. So I had those boxes of cassette tapes, which need to be digitized. I have 500, 600, 700, 800 30-minute, 1 hour, 90-minute, 2 hour.
Oh, wow.
Mostly sit down at the end of the year and talk about everything that just happened in the year before your memory goes. With
Oh
the
my
writers, with
God.
artists, with everybody on the staff. And more behind the scenes than actors, because we love the actors. But my whole thing is, as you said, no one's recording the behind. They are now starting to.
Oh,
But
yeah.
for years, and the original series mostly got away from. Anyway, all that to say that Portal 47 was my desperate way to go, okay, I would love to have a way to have an income and get these people, like, this needs to be recorded
Yeah.
and even made aware of, much less recorded.
Yeah.
And maybe, is there any way I can have and it's not going to tread on the IP. We're not going to, nobody at licensing is going to send me a cease and desist letter because it's all behind the scenes. It's all fair use.
Yeah.
And I finally found an entrepreneur coach that said, oh yes, you could, should I hold on to my Rolodex and should I hold on to all my, call sheets and scripts that I have and all this stuff? And she was like, oh yeah, you can make something out of it. So that's, but this was 2015.
Okay.
Before Patreon, before Zoom.
True.
And I used free conference call for the first 5 years. Anyway, so I got it. Shaky start.
I've never heard. I've been in IT for 30 years now. I started in '95. I've never heard of that.
For what?
The free conference call. I'd never heard of that.
Oh yeah. Well, but see, it was a business tool, and it was audio. It was phones. So you could sit in a business meeting and dial in another bit, and you have people around. One person, you could have a whole room full of people, and you're calling another business, and you can all just lean in and talk, and it's not individual phones. And that's how it started.
Okay.
And it was a phone thing, and then it went digital. And in 2015, this all changed, and that's what I was recommended to use, and it was free. And you could add on features, right?
Okay.
And the first 6 months, we got launched in September, October. I was talking about it at Comic-Con in Vegas, and I got the first few members, and because the whole thing was it was like, are you ready for your backstage trek?
Yes. The
tagline that evolved, I forget now who gave it to me, but I said, Portal 47 is for all the Star Trek fans who have no idea how much Star Trek they still have no idea about.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. I mean, okay, just to stop saying this right here.
And I started it in the Star Trek desert, and then 3 months later, they announced something was coming back to TV. So,
I wonder what that something was.
Yeah, but we didn't know at the time. But.
No, we didn't. I mean, and actually, I'm going to call them out here in a good way. They're in the live chat right now, which is Letterdex. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to show what he said right here. Every time I hear background for a second, I think that's us. It is, but it is them. And
don't call them extras.
But that's, I know you'll keep on going, but so that was kind of the emphasis for Portal 47 was, yes, you'll do the, is
there any way to make anything out of this as a business?
Yes.
Or should I just walk away, or always think of this stuff as my, or start selling or auctioning or donating this stuff off and give up on it?
Well, and what you're doing with
that was in the fallow times too, and we didn't know what was if Star Trek would ever come back more than just a JJ movie every few years.
Well, and you've done that with this. You've got. You promote both sides. I'm going to say you do above the line and below the line. And honestly, the below the line people sometimes are even more fun to talk to because they're not as restricted, maybe.
They have no ego to bruise, Captain?
Yeah, we'll just say that.
Well, there's a lot, I love the actors. My whole point was that. Okay, here's the story, the seminal story that put this in my brain. When I used to love Steve Walker's conventions in Denver, the Starland Cons. They were pure Trek with maybe a couple other through the 80s and 90s and early aughts.
I bet Chuck A's been to one of those.
Yeah. And I remember the year as the TNG cast was rolling out and the years would go by and they were going down the TNG cast. I'm almost certain it was Jonathan. So I'm sitting in the audience, and Jonathan's on stage doing his hour, and they're doing Q&A. And I remember this like it was yesterday. Somebody would ask a certain kind of question, and Jonathan would say, "Well, you know what? That's a Michael Westmore question." And or later on, he would say, "You know what? That's a Dan Curry question," or "You know what? That's a Bob Blackman question," or "You know what? That's a Danger Dennis Madelone stunt question." And I was sitting in the audience, and I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but after the third or fourth time, I was sitting there in the audience going, "Then why aren't they on stage?" Now, love Jonathan, but in my head, I'm going, and I remember I thought, someday I'm going to have TechCon, and we'll have all those people, and they'll be the guests. There will be no actors. Not that I hate actors, but actors get all the attention. They don't need any more. They don't. They get interviewed. They're at cons. But I'm going to have a con for those people to tell their stories and get on the record. And there'll be 7 people come, and I'll go completely broke, but I'll have done it once.
Okay.
But I literally remember that, and so that is also where Portal 47 comes from.
But that's funny you say that, because I think I recall someone making whoever on stage. I've only been to STLV once, but I've been to some other of the cons. But I want to say whoever was the presenter said, "Oh, that's a is the one that really could answer that."
So that's a Herman Zimmerman question. That's a
like the writers.
Question.
Yes.
Yeah, or the writers, right? Yeah. Who can be above the line when you were saying above and below the line. Yeah. And again, I love it. I say these tortured metaphors that have come along the last few years, but one of them is like, look, we all love when you're watching a show, a series, and you get attracted to it and you love it. Of course, the actors are the first thing you see.
Yes.
And a lot of it, sometimes you may give it a long enough time. Maybe we used to do more than we do now to get involved with to fall in love with the tone of the show or the writing or the way they do their story and all that more than the actors, or maybe it's just a duo. But of course, you're going to see the actors first. That's the icing on the cake that makes you hang. But that's
what's bringing you there.
Yeah, but the icing, there's a cake under that icing.
That's right.
And the icing would be sweet, but it would just kind of lay there in a lump if it didn't have the cake under it. And there's some cakes where the cake is just as good as the icing.
Some cakes.
Anyway, that's the cake is better. And these people. But Chris, today, the last few years, when I see a cast on, and I know there's limited time when they were doing the Trek days, when you'd see a Trek presentation at, say, Comic-Con, New York or San Diego, and they have the cast up there. And occasionally, the more and more, they'll have the showrunners up. And more, they have let the showrunners actually talk. But I remember some years, Discovery was on stage, and Michelle Paradise was down here, and I swear to God, she never opened her mouth the whole time.
Oh, gosh.
And say what you will about, Discovery or whatever, but it's like, I kept waiting for her to say, and she's not like Mike McMahon would always jump in and not, whatever. And it depends, but it shouldn't be about the personality. Michelle's kind of a quiet person.
Yeah.
But that was just a couple years ago.
True.
And then you go to one of those, if it's San Diego, and you find out that the cast and 1 or 2 of the showrunners are on stage, and a whole bunch of the writers are in the audience watching.
Oh, I didn't.
And then they hang out. Everybody gets up and leaves, and here's 6 or 8 of the Discovery or the Picard or the Strange. They're out here hanging out, saying each other, or maybe it's somebody who used to work and now they've left. And I'm like, why aren't you guys on stage? And they're just like, not enough room, not enough seats.
Oh, wow.
Which I get, but like at least give them a shout out. At least, anyway, that's all kinds of things. Yeah. Or the people who work crews, when they would do these premieres and finale parties and galas, and and people like me get to come or not or whatever, and then I'd hear from people who are in the trenches, the creatives in the trenches, below the line, but still did awesome things.
Yeah,
and I'm going, so are you going to the premiere or the? And they're like, oh no, they don't know about us. I don't mean to get negative here, but
true, yeah.
But there is so much. But that just again, when fans or smart convention people or smart anybody who has a platform finds those kind of people and gets. And all I'm going to say is 10 years ago, people were still barely grappling. Well, it was the fallow time, and there was nothing else to do. And then within 6 months, here comes Discovery, and then everything was hush hush. So we still just talked about the, the as far as in detail, we only talked about the legacy shows for a long time, and then finally that opened up to where we could get to.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right now
I'll get off my rant here, but
it's okay. No, and so let's so I want to maybe start moving in a little bit more into the anniversary of Portal 47, because that was the emphasis of what brought us together tonight and what made us start thinking. So, let's give us a rundown as best as you can of all the perks and everything that comes with Portal 47 and why we're having the open house and all those lovely things.
Well, so I told you Portal 47 came together from a creative entrepreneur coach. And so and a lot of these people that I was in my group, my circle, they're saving wildlife, they're curing cancer, they're empowering women, they're saving cancer babies. I mean, they're doing all these things, and I was one of the few people that had what I finally called a passion. This is also when I started feeling a lot like sports fandom, because the circles I was with, where people were trying to do good in the world, they were like saving lives and saving animals or saving institutions or something. And I'm like, well, my thing is people, it's a passion, it's a hobby, it's a recreation.
Yeah.
And I said, and in my head, I put that alongside sports. But I've had people over the years go, no, Larry, because everybody, not just you, not just me, but Star Trek in general is where people go to recharge. It's not, we've had this discussion the last couple of years about escapism. Is Star Trek escapist, or is it like therapeutic and, inspirational, and to go, get recharged and go back out? So I got over myself about thinking, oh, it's just a TV show. Like when I would get in that circle, when I would leave fandom and go to entrepreneur people, and I was like, well, and because everybody at those things, would say, oh, I'm a fan, or like, oh no, my son's a fan, or my grandson's a fan, or my aunt is a fan, or whatever. I'm like, oh, and there's no gatekeeping in those things. There's no shame. I got over my stupid self-shame about working in Star Trek. But Portal, I came up with features the way people do with their businesses. And the first thing, the primary thing was I wanted to have the guest. Well, again, I had free conference. Like, this can't be local. It's got to be as big a net as we can make it. And at the time, that was audio. What's wild is within 6-8 months, everything changed, and they added cameras and they added share screen. But when I planned and first started this, everything was going to be on the phone, audio. But that was revolutionary then.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it was going to be a roundtable get together where everybody could ask me whatever, like, here's my 30 years of being on the front line. Let's talk. And there was no new Trek when I planned this, right? It was just all looking backwards. And then we have and then the guest, but also it was like things out of my archives. And we had done the big Geek Nation Tours tour by then twice. And I thought, well, maybe I could do a day tour. And so I came up with Trekland Treks just to have something else to offer with a discount on it in the Portal package. And then when I'm at a con where we have members, we would have an actual live. The one time we could actually be live. We are so used to being on Zoom now.
I know.
But 10 years ago, it was like, oh, is this always just going to be remote? Are we never going to be together like a real meetup or a real club? And that was the nod to that. See, you're laughing, but see how much things have changed?
No, it makes sense.
And Chris, I had to explain, even when we went to cameras, I'm like, now how does this work? Well, see you all, and you come on, and then we can all see each other on a camera.
Oh, I understand.
It's just like we had to explain, we had to learn what streaming was like, right? Well, streaming your virtual show like we're doing right now, you had to explain that to people in 2015 and 16 and 17. And the guests you wanted to see, the first time I had Michael Westmore on, a lot of the retired folks who worked, nobody had webcams, or their web camera was from 1987 or something. and silver linings, the pandemic made all this go away.
Yeah.
So everybody had a camera. Everybody learned Zoom real fast. And in the middle, after a couple of months, I just gave up and went over to Zoom from free conference call. But the world is so different now than then, and that's good. But the other thing I don't know, well, Star Trek came back.
Yeah.
And it's been through all kinds of hoops and variations and everything now. But one thing is there's 1 million of these.
Yes, there is.
And audio and video, and people are paying attention to the writer producers and on down.
Yeah.
Whether they're heroes from the past or the folks on the modern shows who jump through the hoops and are allowed to say anything.
Exactly.
So I don't know if I can't take all the credit for that, and I wouldn't want to. I was just wanting to do what I was just trying to stay alive and do what I could do. And I knew that I had a key that not everybody did.
Yeah.
And I had references, and I knew people that not everybody did. And I put all that together.
Yeah.
And said maybe I can survive at the same time and not have to go sell shoes or something.
I'm thank you for sharing that. And so from now, I've learned now we have a annual open house where you bring in guests along with opening up to the general public so they can actually see what us portalities are participating in.
So in that same, original business entrepreneur of creatives, the thing I was in were people who were writers, directors, actors, artists, poet, whatever. They did a creative thing that they got hired to do it, but it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't regular. People wanted a regular income, but they still wanted to do something creative.
Correct.
And not go sell shoes. I keep using that as a thing. I love shoe salesmen, except I think they're probably all gone. We ordered those online too now.
Yeah, Amazon.
And I thought, well, and they would have some annual event and I'm going, well, what? It can't be salesy. What can I do in my little arena that is an annual thing?
Okay.
And I went, oh, why don't I just have a big guest night? And then I thought, well, why don't I said, and then I'm going to old school. Like when I was in school, we had open house, and businesses have open house.
Yes, they do.
In real life, in IRL, that is come to the class, come to your kid's school, or go to a business, and they have door prizes, and they have freebies, and they might have signups for things. And there's something special to come in, and they're something special, but it shows off what the store is, what the kids are doing in the class, whatever it is. And so I thought, well, what would that look like virtually the way we do it? I said, well, I'll do a sample. I'll do a sample Ask Dr. Trek roundtable, which basically is just open mic for people who aren't members.
Yeah.
And we'll do door prizes. And that's not virtual. That's like we have physical DVDs and books.
You're actually going to ship something out.
Give it away, and we'll do a drawing, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll have a Trek guest. And I never want to say it's the best guest of the year because I like to think we have all kinds of great guests all the time. But, I finally made up this board for my con table. This is like from about 2020. And this is just a sliver. If it's a person every month and it's been that technically should be 120 guests over the years. So all different Look, here's Ralph Sininsky right here. He just passed away. Anyway, everybody, including Steve D'Erico's security guard who worked Enterprise and Voyager and has so many crazy stories and photos. It's amazing.
Wow.
There's no pecking order when it comes to this. Because everybody has something to share. And so open house, it's tended to be producers and showrunners and writers. And I kind of save them for the open house, but I don't like to elevate them above anybody we have. But if I'm trying to get eyeballs to come in and sample Portal, that's the kind of name and person that's gonna do that.
Well,
and the first year I did this, and I do it for the anniversary, so it marks an anniversary every year. So the 10th open house is our 10-year anniversary.
Well, that's cool that you've been doing this for 10 years, and now that you talk about pictures. We have a few pictures to show real quick of past guests. So here, we bring this one up, which was a sample of that board. But this is what years 1 through...
These are the open house,
Yeah, open house, because years 1 through 5, I think it was.
Yeah, 1 year I had 2. So Mike Westmore I tried a spring open house, and it was just so much work that I just went back to doing it annually. But Bob Butler was the director of The Cage. And in 2016, we were all about the 50th. And I thought, what a great opening year guest to have. And I met his son. I mean, we got in touch. What's great is 3 years later, I was able to get him down to Comic-Con. And we did it. We were going to do it to Vegas, but his son thought that might be a little strenuous. But he lives between LA and Orange County.
Okay.
And his son brought him down. And we had a live standing room, only probably 500 people standing in the room on Sunday about noon for Bob talking about. And he directed the Batman pilot. He directed 2 or 3 other classic pilots that were like, and that's all he did. He just directed a pilot, and then because they wanted him to direct more Star Treks back then. Anyway.
Oh wow.
He was those direct. This is another thing that drives me a lot, and I love fandom, and I love everybody indulging their passion. But I remember reading everybody, and people are just wanting to do it. And you can't call up the phone and talk to Gene Coon. Well, Gene Coon's dead, but you can't talk to Gene Roddenberry or Dorothy Fontana.
No.
I mean, people don't. So a lot of people wanted their passion talking about Star Trek to get out. Now, this is, back in the day, not every fanzine actually was fanfic. There would be essays and behind the scenes things, and people would do, opinions and stop me if you're shocked. Opinions and essays, right? And I would read those, and after 1 or 2 or 3, I'm like, well, I'm tired of reading what this person thinks. I want to hear what the person that did it thought.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a root thing. Like, I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. And that was in there even before. And not so much that it's like, I understand that everybody's trying to fill their zine, and now I understand that everybody's trying to fill their podcast and their channel. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But my thing was like, and I have an opinion too, but in fact, that's been the last thing I've done. It's like, you want me to talk? Do we have to talk? We have to review this? Okay, I'll review. I mean, I have an opinion.
Yes.
But to make it entertaining and big for people is like, okay, fine, I'll pump it. But my thing was like, I want to hear literally the horse's mouth. I want to hear the person. I don't want to hear some fan talking about what they think they thought. I want to hear it from the person.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, that's what I've loved about what I've been doing with this channel, but I'm not going to talk about myself. I'm going to bring up this next picture. This was year 6. This was the 6th one.
So with those first, I was laughing about this because this was about the first year I've always taken a screenshot in the middle, not just of the screen, but a screenshot of me and everybody that's watches my channels. I try to do this with our Ask Dr. Treks, our roundtables with the fans, with our members who are on screen too. But keeping everything going. It's funny because this thing to the left of that's Mike McMahon.
Yep.
And we were getting frustrated because I couldn't get anywhere with the studio people, and he was like, oh, "Just let me," because I met Mike. He came up to me at Comic-Con in 2015, and he had just gotten that contract for the Warped book.
Okay.
The Lost 8th season of Next Generation. And it was very tongue-in-cheek. And he had just gotten the job on Rick and Morty in the middle before he became one of the showrunners. And he was all excited, but he was at Comic-Con, and he didn't even have a copy of his book with him. But he came up to me with a copy of the companion for me to sign it. And I was like, hey, you just got that book contract. And, and he was like, yeah. So we took selfies and then so here we go. 5 years later, I see the news that he gets this job to do this new animated show called Lower Decks. And I'm like, and people were like worried about it. I'm like, did you read his book? He's great. My God, he came up and asked me to sign his book of mine 5 years ago. This is where it's going to be okay, guys. He's going to be fine.
It's going to be okay. He did a great job. Oh my God.
And he short circuited. He was like, let me handle it. And so he called. He says, yeah, we're doing it. He turned around and said, I want to go do this show. So we had like 2 hours. I think it's supposed to be an hour, but many times it stretches to an hour and a half. And with every month, not just with open house night.
True. Oh,
and Mike was awesome. And member nights, but also on open house for the general public. When it's just anybody that wants to come. Yeah. People can pre-submit questions. We don't do like we're doing. We don't have live capacity that way, but people will do a question in the chat. It's just the problem is sometimes the questions in the chat, they might need a little prep or they get lost.
Yeah.
And I always say, send questions in advance. But yeah, Mike was the That was huge. I had a whole long list of things. That was our first time we had a chance to talk at all. I didn't do a live interview until an in person. I miss the old school in person interviewing days too. But
well, it's easier now because we can do this. You can bring in Mr. Ira.
So so Ira I knew from back in the day, and he's a hoot. And there's some people in the back of my head I'm like saving, And I knew Ira, and this was right after the DS9 documentary had come out. So if people didn't know Ira in the day, people had just seen him in the documentary, and he didn't disappoint.
Oh no, so he did not. He's never disappointed. No. I was on a Seventh Rule thing, and he was on the Zoom that day with us for a little while, and just that was the first time I've ever talked to him, and he's an interesting character, fun character to talk
and
to.
Yes, opinionated. Like maybe once a year he'll send me an email out of the blue. And we did the comment. It's funny because we did a commentary track for the Star Trek VI DVD, which they had sold enough editions that they were getting desperate for fresh ways to approach bonus features.
Oh God!
And so this is almost 20. So in like 2008 editions of the movies, the TNG and TOS movies, they thought the new thing would be to have Trek-related people do a commentary track who weren't related to the movie, like have later day Trek people talk about the originals,
Okay.
And I knew the guys doing it, and they wanted me to do one, except I screwed around, and the only thing left was like 5 and 6, so I took 6.
Yeah.
And they asked me.
Got a good one.
They asked me who would be a good person to be with it, and when I knew they wanted to have people removed from that, nobody who worked on 6, from another era, I thought, who would? And I was thinking, who would do this on the fly, on the run, and be totally fine with it, and be able to handle themselves, and be an original series fan? I was Ira, and Ira had been real quiet about that time. It was before the DS9 revolution on Netflix, even.
Yeah.
So. And he did it. So it's like I got Ira to do it. It wasn't the other way around.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome. If you haven't heard that track, he totally floored me at the very beginning. He knew the assignment, and it was an awesome job. Anyway, so I say this because like a month or two ago, since you brought this up, he randomly emailed me out of the blue and said, "I finally listened to our commentary track for The Undiscovered Country. I want to thank you, Larry, for being smart and cool and helping me from sounding too much like an opinionated asshole." And he always writes these forward lines, Anyway, Ira's he's just and there's no. I mean, that's totally the reason why DS9 wound up being the way it was.
Oh, absolutely. Before I bring it up, let's just say this. We've had interviews with Robbie and Garrett, and thanks to Voyager, thanks to UPN being focused solely on Voyager, DS9 and Ira kind of got to do whatever, within reason, whatever they wanted to do.
Voyager was the network show, and
they were the syndicated ones, and it was out of sight, out of mind until he decided to maybe do something that anyway, but they have said more than once, Voyager helped them to do what they want, let him do what he wanted to do, because they had all eyes on Voyager. So
and the movies
movies,
Rick, yes,
So it worked out because then you had this phenomenal series called Deep Space Nine,
and you had a whole different level of Paramount TV was the same way as Next Gen was the boss. But UPN, you had a whole different level of people sending notes, memos, and you had little tin-plated dictators with delusions of godhood suits that turned over every couple of years, which was why UPN didn't go anywhere. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so we had the season 8 open house was Mr. Mike Meyer. No.
Yes.
Yeah, Nicholas Meyer.
Nick Meyer, yeah.
I almost said Mike Meyer.
I didn't know well back in the day, but as the years have gone, because I wasn't around to cover Wrath of Khan, obviously, and the movies. But I just remember the first time I met him, it was through the DVDs, I think. The crazy thing is he and I did a soundtrack, same thing with Ira did, and I picked him to do it with me for Nemesis, and it was kind of a bomb, and he asked them not to use it.
Oh
And so if
God.
you hear that, it's just Jonathan and Maria kind of like making jokes all the way through.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
would love to find the original commentary track that he and I did for Nemesis, because I could say, I'm like, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
I will find, there are positives in Nemesis.
I
And
agree.
he was like, I've only seen it once. Are you sure?
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes, there's
it'll be fine. It'll be
positives.
fine. And I would say, so that actor kind of acted, huh? And he would like,
Oh my
yeah.
God. Oh my
Anyway,
God. Anyway, well, I did not get the ninth one, so you'll have to tell us who number
it was the
9 was.
Hagemans. Yeah,
The Hagemans.
sorry about that. So they
That's
were
fine.
great. We were talking about, and and it still kind of is, but people were still wanting to talk about Prodigy,
Yeah.
but they were totally. And so it was first. We had 2, and they were in their own box. But that was last year's. So yeah, I can't believe. So there's the 10 years have gone by.
I know.
Yeah.
And so now we are up to this year's guest, which will be Thursday, November 13th.
Yes,
And
week from tomorrow,
oh
or week
God,
from tonight.
yeah, a week from tonight. Oh yeah. So here's who everybody gets to talk to or visit with next week.
Yes, and this is a 2003 picture of Dave in his office at the Hart Building. With his 2004 computer. So yeah, David Goodman, who was on Enterprise, I think a couple of came on the second season because of his Futurama Star Trek episode, and Brannon thought Enterprise could use some humor, so he hired David. And he'd always wanted to do a Western Star Trek, and he got to do North Star eventually. But he was there for a couple of years.
He was the one that wrote that? Okay,
yeah.
I like that. That's a great episode.
Yep. But he left when they made Manny the showrunner. A lot of the people who had been there for a while, I think, were 2 things going on. A, they knew Enterprise was about. It was amazing. It was a miracle that Enterprise had a 4th season.
4th season, yeah.
And I think between that and seeing that they chose Manny to be the showrunner, and he had just come to the show halfway through season 3. I think Chris Black and they're all good, but these are writers, and they're looking ahead down the road, and it's like, oh well, I put my time in for a couple of years, and if I'm not going to get bumped up at all, and the show is running out, I will move on, and he did.
Okay.
And good, and he done a ton of things, and kind of wound up in Seth Meyers' camp back with Family Guy, and has been a Family Guy staple for ages, and responsible for all the little Trek bits that pop in and out of Family Guy. And then worked with Seth from day one on the Orville, and so now this will be Trek focused. We're not going to like half of it's going to be Orville, but we'll mention the Orville, and we can do compares and contrasts. But the other thing I'm excited to talk about David, aside from his other thing, his Enterprise proper, but is David was president of the Writers Guild right before the strikes, when they went through kind of a reform. No, the outside world didn't know or care, but they went through a whole. He led a reform movement about writers and their agencies, and there was a fee that everybody had to pay. And anyway, they kind of broke that up. And then he was chairman of the negotiating committee or the positions committee during the strike.
Okay.
So his head has been totally into the industry, what's going on, what it is right now. And look, he's worked on animation and live action. So, and
so
David
knows both sides.
And he wrote, amazingly, nonfiction, like my thing. He did the 150th anniversary of the Federation book.
Okay.
And then he did the autobiography of Kirk and of Picard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In his spare time while he was doing Family Guy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So David's not the typical, he's a writer, showrunner person that has like 5 years or 6. He has his 2 years on Enterprise edit, which is always going to be interesting to unpeel these series, like the inner core of what was going on. But I can't wait to talk to him and have us and share with like where the hell he thinks, what's with the industry and what does it mean for Trek? And right now we're at this inflection point because that's what Portal is too. It's backstage, but part of the backstage of Star Trek is what's going on in the
backstage offices.
Yeah, and the industry as a whole. How is the world and the culture and the industry affecting our Star Trek?
Well, I'm going to bring up real quick the webpage so that everybody can see. This is what it is. You've got the celebrating here. You can.
This is front page of my website, but the
Yes.
thing is, there with our little 10 years of Portal logo. I
Yes.
ask everybody, it's free, but I just ask everybody to register. So I have a drawing pool for the door prizes.
Okay,
And
glad you.
so I know I have a numbers count.
I'm glad you said that because I was curious. Why do I have this? Yes, save my spot button.
Yeah. So if you do, it just,
Got it. Okay. Well, so that is.
Yep. Or if you see a social flying by, and everybody that's here that's a friend of Trekland and Dr. Trek, if you see the socials, X and Instagram, Twitter, and whatever, and Blue Sky, if you can boost the signal and forward it or repost, that would be awesome. Because I'm kind of jumping in late here this year because we were date juggling a little bit, and I want to be ahead of the holidays. So, but it's always a great night, and we have at least 3 or 4 door prizes to give away, books and DVD sets or Blu-rays, and it's awesome. It really is. And we have the chat, and there's live chat going. So sometimes people, and David's kind of like a mind a little bit like Mike McMahon. Sometimes the guests will go over and dig into the chat themselves. So do call outs before we get there. But anyway, but it's weird when you are entrepreneuring and you're trying to have a business and a paycheck and you're doing a passion thing. And this is why I look to sports world a little bit. You're asking people for money for a service. And I've done that. And we've got our portales. I love them. They're supporting. We live in a Patreon world now, and a lot of people are used to dealing with Patreon, and we're playing with maybe just doing Patreon. It's just not calling it Patreon.
Yeah.
Because I have the day tours too, the Trekland Treks day tours also. And that's just a one-off. That's a paid for, package. Here's the day, boom, here's the price, here's the number we have and all that. And then we plan it, right? It's totally customized with people. We go where people want to go on the day they want to do it. But it's a balancing act where everyone's, it's our passion, and you're asking for money. And when you're one of the passion people too, you have to walk that line and find it. And Portal 47, basically, on one level, is just the way I tried to have an income from the thing I love. Because the other thing is, aside from, I hate asking people to pay for something, but it's hopefully I'm giving something that's worth paying for.
Oh yeah.
But it's also you're dealing with an IP and a franchise, and I was on both sides of that fence for years with all the licensing things about not doing something that that crosses the IP line.
So you gotta be so careful with that.
Something here it's all fair use, it's all non-fictional behind the scenes, and that's why. Plus, I think I hope we're adding to humanity.
I feel you are. I have learned so many little nuggets every now and then about stuff behind the scenes that I didn't know about. The first one that pops in my head right now was, and this actually going to lead us into all the other, branches of Trekland, was when we were talking on one of our Trek File nights, Monday nights, and you pulled up and dropped in the chat the lineage of Dax.
Oh, see, that's a rando thing I got to do because
I know, but still, I was like, oh my God, that's so freaking cool. But the fact that you did it and you had it, I was like, okay. But
because in 1994, there was no Memory Alpha. There might have been a Kuda's encyclopedia, but it wasn't updated to the last minute. And I was keeping my concordances going, and they were going to, and it was for facets. And so Lolita calls me on Sunday and says, "Can you do Renee is in his office on Sunday afternoon. He has to finish this rewrite, and he needs these details. And heaven forbid we get anything wrong. In a year and a half of DS9, we do know what has been said about the Dax hosts." And so I did a thing and said, okay, well, there's this many, and and we know that there were 5 women and 4 or whatever it was, when 2 of them had been fathers and 1 of them was a pot. And it's like, here's how it must have broken down. It's like a half of a logic problem. Da-da-da. And so here's all the blanks. So these blanks are here's what's known, where it is, and here are the blanks you can fill. I would have loved to have done that all day long, but alas, that only happened 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. But that was still, it's a document that now exists that if they ever needed it, you've got it and it's archived. It's on Memory Alpha.
Well, now everybody, the document is just a piece of history. Now everybody knows who the DAX hosts were and all that.
Well, but I didn't actually know the lineage, and when you said, and the dates as well, because you actually went back as far as the dates. So, so I guess we might want to tell everybody which branch of Trekland we're talking about right now, where we discuss that at.
What do you mean?
Oh, that was Trek Files that we were talking about.
Well, so the last thing here. So here's the thing. The 10 years that Portal has been around. I hate to say things like it was radical and pioneering and revolutionary, but I used to have to explain what virtual calling was. Okay. But that was 2015. And then 2 years go by, and 2017, that same business group was saying, everybody get online, everybody get live, go live. You can go live now with Periscope on Twitter, or you can
or Zoom,
or Facebook Live is new. You should do that. And I'm like, okay. And everybody looked at me and go, oh my God, Larry, you should be on live. You're Star Trek people. They'll love that. And I'm like, okay, don't plan it. Don't think about it. Just get on there. Just get on. And I had 2017 in April or something. I have it preserved, and that's an anniversary we have fun with in Mark. But and it was right after the first trailer came out about Discovery by then, and people were pissed or upset or whatever, and there was a lot of doom saying and doom scrolling, and I was trying to get in and calm the waters and say, okay, I have opinions, but this is not the end of the world, and think of this, and da-da-da-da, and this happened with TNG, and this happened with the animated series, and it happened with every Trek hits because it challenges and that was the first time I did it, but I'm on my phone literally, and I'm scrolling at the bottom of and I'm doing this to scroll to the next person in the chat. And then that year, Roddenberry was building up, my friend John, they had been doing Mission Log as a podcast, and they were looking to expand the Roddenberry podcast, and Rod wanted to get the files out that weren't on display they're not on display. They had tons of material that didn't go to UCLA, and Rod wanted to get into it and get it aired out in public, and they came up with part of this idea, and John wanted to be short and use a guest, and I said, well, let's get a guest from the industry, not just anybody, and relevant. Anyway, the Trek Files came along in 2018. And anyway, I used to be a guest a lot with Chris Jones' pioneering podcasts on Trek FM. And he would say, Larry, when you're a guest, those are our most downloaded podcasts in the early teens. And I'm like, should I do one of my own?
Yes.
Well, not just out there, Portal 47 it's got to be a paid thing. Okay. And I won't do a podcast. I'll just go guest, but maybe when cameras come into it, anyway, it's funny but it's amazing how fast things have, and the pandemic, again, everybody got Zoom, everybody got a Zoom camera, even people over 50 got Zoom camera.
Well, it literally put everything at warp speed.
Yes.
I mean, straight up warp speed. We were
better than inventing Velcro for the space program.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so it's just the 10 years. I was thinking the other day, the 10 years of Portal, where 2015 was, it's kind of crazy. We didn't have, when I did this, we didn't have any new Star Trek. Nobody knew what this was about. There was podcasting, but it was still audio
only.
And half it, I'd go to a con in the mid-teens, and we'd talk about the podcasts. And I'd say, how many of you ever listened to podcasts? And there'd be 300 people in a room, and 5 would raise their hand.
I know.
We've been through a lot. Yeah.
We've been through a lot. I mean, we've been through a lot. And this has been a great chat tonight. I definitely...
But but here's what I'm saying. Look at you. Look at all the folks now who don't just get on and talk about Star Trek, but they're reaching out and having these people be guests and all that. And there's a little piece of me going, yay. Like I wasn't trying to be a Pied Piper. I was just trying to do something for me and the people I knew and for Star Trek. And
Yeah. Well,
so I hope we're still relevant. I still hope that I have a unique point of view that you can listen to somebody in different, like one person who's a Trek creative and they're on 5 different interviews.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get something different out of all of them, you know?
Depends on who the person is. Sometimes you do, but unfortunately, as you know, a lot of them, it's just they have that set kind of.
I'm being generous here, Chris. Come on.
I know.
I'm trying to say, I hope I'm not. The one thing I've always said is, I hope
No.
I don't come off this way, and that my goal is to never be. I know it happens at times because we have commonalities, but I hope I'm not just this. I don't want to just jump on the pile. I don't want to do more of the same-o.
I'm pretty sure everybody in this chat will agree that is not what happens with you at all. I mean, I have yet to have a bad discussion or conversation ever. Every time we get in one of our Discord chats or whatever, and there's always something.
Which is Trek Files, by the way, everybody. Trek Files has its own community on Roddenberry Discord on Mondays, every other Monday at 4. Just to say.
So
the
next
Trek
week,
Files
actually.
Tonight.
Yeah, so next Monday, we'll have
Monday.
a Trek Files. But there's always something. I'm always learning something new on those from there, and then listening to the Trek Files on Memory Alpha, Apple iTunes, wherever you can go find your podcast. They're good. They're really good to listen to.
Thank you. And huge credit to John.
Oh yeah,
John Texan produces them. Yeah.
Yeah, but and they're 20 minutes, give or take 20 minutes, and you just get this little nugget. And I can't remember what was the one we were just talking about recently. I listened to, and I was like, oh wow, it was just, I didn't know that. And then like season 13 Trek Files, because you do the recording, you put the document that you're talking about on there, and
we're the only podcast with homework.
Yeah, well, but it's good. It's cool homework.
Paperwork.
And I'm not gonna, whichever it was. I'm just gonna say, and I brought it up because again, it let me learn more about DC Fontana. Was it her? Yes. And when they were making the TNG Bible, and she made sure that she let Gene know exactly how she felt about everything.
The 4-breasted Troy.
Yeah, all that. So, but
that's
the
thing. We've heard that story for ages, but to actually go back and look at that's the other thing I love. That's the horse's mouth, and also the horse's mouth's memo.
Yes, that's what I was saying. That's what I love about it, is that there is a document right there. It is and I even laugh because it's actually typed. It's not like it's on a printer and it's typed out by hand back in the old days of memos. But it's there. And so, and that's what I have loved so much about your brand is it's not just, we got the Portal 47, you've got Trek Files, you have your Tuesday Lives, you've got the roundtable. So, it's so great. And I know I know you definitely want to talk about
I got to do a little shout out for Cadet Alice. She's growing up. And but we got to finish our season 2 before she graduates high school or something. But
oh my gosh,
I love that.
And there's something I would love to do it. I looked at the document. I'm probably not gonna be able to do it. Is your upcoming Trekland tours for Vegas next year?
Well, you mean the big tour for next year?
The big tour for next year
with Terrace. And
I'm gonna go ahead.
I do my day tours.
Yeah,
and that's Trekline Treks. But we haven't done this in 10 years. We did 3 of them.
Spotlight you there.
There you go. Yeah, and that QR should be good. This is a multi-day. It's the week before Trek Vegas. You don't have to go to Vegas. We'll wind up there for the 60th. Between the pandemic and everything else, we had not done this in 10 years for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But we had a 2012, 2014, and 2016 I called it 5-0 Fever. And we did a San Francisco loop for the first time. This is just in LA, 5 days. We've got a couple of new stars. Oh, I didn't. We've celebritized it too over here.
Oh, hold on, I'm gonna put you back up.
We've got more folks to Armin,
Oh.
Tim and his telescopes at the observatory.
Mm-hmm.
Sirach, Bobby Clark at Vasquez Rocks,
The
and
Gorm.
and we've got a couple more to announce after the first of the year. But and we need 11 to make, and we cut it off at 23. So
Okay.
it's not, we just need this tight window. Anyway, it's like 5 days and nights. It's actually a tour where we're at a hotel LA. We go out on the van or the bus during the day, come back, and then the last day do things going out of town, and then wind up in Vegas. And then the Valley of Fire tour, which is an hour north of Vegas, and where Kirk died in Generations, and some wacky sidebars, is a day tour on Con Eve on the Tuesday before Vegas starts on Wednesday. And we haven't done it in 10 years, and we're like, we've got to get back into doing it. So,
You got to. I got to ask one more question before I let you go. This year's STLV, the 60th, it is, as you see, it is just blowing up already. I mean, is that surprising you, or are you?
I've been talking about this for 2 or 3 weeks, not just Vegas, but everything.
Everything.
The 50th you totally expect, because it's the 50th. And I thought, well, the 60th will be like not that we don't all still love it, and not that all, heaven forbid, the actors and the creatives aren't worth, hearing from it. But just the idea of a 60th and people I went, well, like the 75th will be the next. And as somebody, keeps reminding me.
I think I've reminded you, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it finally kicked in. It's like, it's not just about the numbers and how we think about, birthdays and wedding anniversaries. It's the people. It's the original series people aren't going to be around for the 75th.
No,
and
unfortunately
so
not.
So, and we're not, they're all in the same boat. So, we just lost Ralph Sinensky. And I had meant for years. And then in the 90s and aughts, I saw who knows where he is or what he's doing, but I probably lost a chance to talk to him when my current Trek world opened up where I could think about it, like after everything blew up. And it was fallow times. And I'm like, okay, well, now I can go back and look. Oh, look, none of them are still around.
Well,
in the movie.
And I'm going to show this.
And I kept thinking, and I talked to him, and then I kept meaning to get by his house when we went north, because he's almost to San Francisco and in Carmel. And finally I did in 2021, and we did a 2 hour. And then he was a Portal guest.
Okay.
He talked for 2 hours on guest night for Portal in July 2021.
Okay.
But I did a long sit down with him in his kitchen table, and that's the pieces that got pulled out for all the different Trek Files episodes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show something because since I brought up STLV 60, I have to do this. They just put out today.
I saw that.
A huge, they've added a lot already. So we've got, obviously, Shatner, George, and Walter, but they actually acknowledged, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but they actually acknowledged Enterprise's 25th anniversary. They actually said it's not just the 60th; we have a 25th anniversary. So thank God. They finally, Enterprise is getting the love it deserves. It's been getting it; it's getting more and more, but now it's actually going to get at a con.
And the crews that I've gotten close to the last couple of years, and actually do some work with them besides be a guest, and whether they have me as a guest or not, but I love working on their market. It's a 60th anniversary cruise, and they've got lots of original series people, probably some like Bobby, some others, but they're acknowledging the 25th too. For Enterprise. They have a lot of Enterprise people.
Yep, and so you've got Anthony, obviously Connor and Dom. They're always there. John, but Linda's going to be there.
And Chris Doohan is there kind of, and I know Chris continues. Chris is kind of there in the spirit. It's like he's representing his dad, right?
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. But they've got Linda so far. Linda Park's already agreed. So, just missing Jolene and Scott. And Scott said, we're going to have to hold him to it. He said he would be there next year. So.
And, if they just call her Jolene by one name, maybe she'll come.
Yeah. So,
like Lordex.
Yeah,
No.
I had to show that because that's just, when I saw that email come out today, I was like, thank goodness there. Because I'll be honest, I think the guys have been a little worried that they may get overshadowed by, the 60th.
Oh yeah. Well, see, the 50th is the same way. Whenever somebody says, "Oh, it's the 50th, it's the 60th," I'm the first 30 years, you'd say that. Well, of course, there was only one Star Trek, and now we've got a franchise. I keep thinking, well, it's anniversary of the whole franchise, and for a long time, I would think, let's celebrate it all.
Yeah.
And then I thought, then it hit me like a ton of bricks a couple years ago. It's like every show has its own anniversary and its own finale anniversary and its own in the middle. It's Best of Both Worlds, or it's Seven Comes to Voyager, or it's whatever the Tribulations episode. All the series have their own anniversaries. Like, shut up and give it back to the original series and let them have their one.
Yeah. No, I agree, and so I'm so thankful they're doing that. Well, Larry, we could talk for hours, which we have, but we're not going to tonight because I'm going to be nice to my friends over at the salon because their show starts here in about 8 minutes. So,
oh no,
yes. Well, again, thank you for coming on, and it's always fun to talk.
Thank you for having me on. I never talk about the nuts and bolts of Portal like this. I just do it, and I don't stop to think about explaining or some of the history or whatever, or what motivates me, if it's not obviously apparent. But I love all the fandom parts that don't get attention or they didn't used to. It's just what naturally gravitated me to. So I'm just happy that I can find a way to maybe pay rent or pay mortgage, and also at the same time add to that pile.
Correct. Well, exactly. And I was with everybody.
And congrats to you for everything you're building here. My gosh, look how fast.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of work, and there's more stuff coming.
We didn't look at the chat at all.
I was looking at it within reason, but yeah. Let's see here.
Oh, they're ignoring us? Good. Okay, great.
No. Paul Hewitt came in. Thanks, John.
Oh, hey, Paul. Now I want to go by and say hi. Oh, okay. Hi, Letter. Yes, we had an awesome time.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we let's see here. We had Cassandra was
Chuck A is one of my Patreoners.
Yep. I think Cassandra she is too.
Joel is too. Oh, there's a lot of folks hey guys, thanks to everybody in my Patreon, because I don't make a big deal out of it because I have Portal, but thank you guys for supporting my Patreon too, by the way.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'll tell you, Portal, it's $33 a month. It's not that bad. So, and Larry's Patreon is, you can. And
if you're at the open house, we will have some specials. We'll have a Portal 47 special and a Trekland Trek special.
Cool.
That will only be good the night of open house and maybe the next day. So
those are going to be some of your door prizes you're giving away and stuff like that.
We'll have books and Blu-rays for door prizes that you physically get in the mail that I will pay postage to get to people as a thank you. And and then we'll have I'll have some special prizes for Portal and for Trekland Treks.
Oh, and that's it. I thought of something else, and I think we talked about it, but that's fine. We'll get to it later. The next time. We'll do it for the 11th anniversary because I'll be around. All right. Well, Larry, thanks again. I hope everybody has a wonderful night in the chat, and give us your last sign off over there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Hey, trek well, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for watching The Transporter Room. For just $5 per month, enjoy ad-free access to this episode and all previous ones, plus exclusive bonus content. Sign up now on Patreon.